All right, so you finally got a minute to relax. You get your favorite strain ready, but something feels off.
Mm.
The second you light up,
Mm.
the smoke is harsh. Maybe the flavor is kind of lacking.
Yeah.
Sound familiar at all? We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're going to help you avoid that whole experience. We are diving deep into the world of cannabis and moisture.
Moisture.
We'll talk about why it matters, how it affects your experience, and most importantly, how to get it just right.
That's right. We're really going beyond just, dry is bad and wet is bad.
Right.
We're going to understand the science behind why that is so you can be a better consumer, more informed about what you're consuming.
Exactly. And our source for this deep dive is an excerpt focusing on the ideal moisture levels for cannabis and the science behind what happens in the smoking process.
Right. Mm.
So are you ready to unlock the secrets to the perfect session?
Absolutely. Let's break it down.
Okay, so let's start with that scenario I just mentioned, dry brittle buds.
Yeah.
We know they burn too fast, the smoke is harsh. But why does that happen?
Sorry. Well, when cannabis is too dry, we're talking below that 10% moisture content,
Okay.
it essentially becomes too combustible.
Interesting.
Like the lack of moisture means there's less water vapor to regulate the burning process.
Huh.
So instead of a slow, even burn, that releases those flavorful terpenes and potent cannabinoids, you get this rapid combustion that just creates a lot of heat and a lot of harsh smoke.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just that the good stuff is burning off too quickly, but the actual combustion process itself creates a less desirable smoke.
Exactly. And you end up losing out on the nuances of the strain.
Wow.
These terpenes that give each strain its own unique flavor and aroma just vanish in the heat.
Yeah, okay. So we've seen what happens on the dry end. What about when we swing to the other side of the spectrum? Super moist, spongy buds.
Ah, yes, the dreaded wet bud.
Right.
You're looking at over 12%, sometimes even 14% moisture.
Wow.
And here the problem is the opposite.
Okay.
The excess moisture hinders combustion. You end up with a poor, uneven burn. You're struggling to keep that cherry lit and the smoke is really thick and heavy. Not to mention, you're inhaling a lot more chlorophyll, which gives it that unpleasant, grassy taste.
And then there's the mold risk, too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Those damp conditions are just an invitation for mold and mildew.
Yeah, you got it. Even if you avoid the mold, those wet buds just aren't going to deliver the experience you want.
Right.
The cannabinoids and terpenes are still in there, but they're trapped behind all that excess moisture.
So it sounds like both extremes have their downsides. But what happens when we hit that sweet spot?
Yeah.
Perfect moisture level.
Now we're talking at 10 to 12% moisture. You're looking at buds that are firm but still have a slight stickiness to them.
Good.
And this is what allows for that perfect balance. A slow, controlled burn that releases all those complex compounds in a really smooth, flavorful way. You get the full spectrum of what that strain has to offer.
And this is where curing techniques really come into play, right?
Absolutely.
Drying and curing cannabis slowly and properly is essential to hitting that optimal moisture level.
Think of it like this. A well-cured bud is like a finely aged wine.
Yeah.
That slow drying process allows for the chlorophyll to break down, for those complex terpenes to develop, and for that overall moisture content to settle into that perfect range.
So it's not just about finding bud that looks good. Okay. It's about understanding how it was handled and treated after harvest.
Yeah, this is where, paying attention to your sources becomes super important.
For sure. And once you have those perfectly cured buds, you want to make sure that they stay that way, right?
Yeah.
Proper storage is key.
Absolutely. An airtight container in a cool, dark place is really going to be your best bet.
And I've also heard that humidity control packs can be really helpful for maintaining those ideal moisture levels, especially in drier climates.
That's another great tool for the informed cannabis enthusiast. You can really fine-tune your storage environment that way.
So it's fascinating to me how something as seemingly simple as moisture can play such a crucial role in the entire cannabis experience.
Yeah.
It affects everything from the burn and the flavor to the potency and even, the potential for mold.
Absolutely. And the more you understand these factors, the more you'll be able to appreciate the nuances of each strain and tailor your consumption to get exactly the experience that you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay.
So next time you're choosing your cannabis, remember it's not just about THC percentages or fancy names.
Right.
Take a moment to consider the moisture levels and how it was cured. Those seemingly small details can make a world of difference between a disappointing session and a truly enjoyable one.
Couldn't agree more. Think back to your past cannabis experiences. Could moisture have played a role in those standout moments, whether good or bad.
That's a great question. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but we'll be back next week with another one. So until then, happy smoking, everybody.
Stay informed and enjoy.
And stay lifted.
Yeah.